Hi, my name is Kiki Locke Harris, and I am the outgoing chapter president for the 2024 calendar year. I served for the Colorado Gamma chapter of Pi Beta Phi as the chapter president and helped my team develop these goals for elevation that I'm now presenting to you to show how we grew in each of the following areas. We definitely grew in every area of elevation, but we have a lot to be proud of in each specific one. So I'll go through that and then talk about how elevation had an impact on our chapter as a whole. When setting our elevation goals, it was really important to me to relate to our chapter that we should set goals based on Colorado State University's fraternity and sorority life overarching themes, which are the CLIMB acronym. We wanted to be change agents and kind of promote a lot of things that we value in Pi Beta Phi. We wanted to promote our members to engage in lifelong learning and critical thinking, advocate for inclusivity and social justice, encourage our members to consider how they're making meaning of their time in Pi Beta Phi, and most importantly to me, I really wanted to continue fostering the coalitions and connections we've made throughout our chapter's time here. The first area I'd like to touch on is our improvements in academic achievement. In this area, something that was really important to us was aligning our ideas that we would like to implement to the chapter with our national standards. So, our international organization, changed academic probation to now academic to support to kind of take away the shame from being on academic probation from the sorority members and make sure they're prioritizing being a student first and foremost. So our director of academics made personalized improvement plans for each person on academic support to move off of academic support, and we've seen a lot of big improvements from spring to fall. We won't know exactly how many students will get off of academic support until the grade report comes out, but we're really confident that this was something that helped a lot of our members in this time. We also wanted to incentivize our members to do better in their classes and reach for a specific goal. So, members receiving a 3.75 or above got the opportunity to be recognized by the addition of a little pearl dangle on their pins, on their badge, so they can be recognized for their high standards in academic achievement. We hope to include more incentives in the next year going on as we've increased our budget for that as a plan, and that will be starting in the next fiscal year. We've also booked weekly study rooms on campus that our members have taken advantage of, and we wanted to make sure that we exercised our care and leadership roles, making sure that we were using our power for good, and again, like taking away that shame from making members feel uncomfortable coming to leaders and talking about their grades, because we know that everybody works really hard in our chapter, but sometimes it just doesn't get reflected on grades, or somebody has an academic just a hard semester where they're not able to focus on their academics. So in Pi Phi, we really wanted to work on being leaders that supported one another and supported our members rather than criticizing them for any tough classes they may have been taking in grades that weren't hitting the mark. The next area where we improved upon was the harm reduction section of elevation. So for this area, we had luckily an officer named Megan Montoya, who was our continuing vice president of risk management, meaning she had the role in the fall semester of 2023. And so going into this specific goal, she set a lot of high expectations and was able to build off the work she did to create her elevation goals for now this calendar year. So, the one thing that she really wanted to bring back in her term was adhering to our policy and position statements, making sure those were read every chapter, and we had really intensive risk workshops to make sure that our members were aware of all the things that keep them safe at the events and how to make sure that we keep having events and are safe and maintaining good, strong goals towards that. She also wanted to remove the negative stigmas around risk management and increased education on what a care and concern call was. So every member conduct committee member got together and met with each other and decided to have office hours where people could just come in and talk about their cares and concerns about a member they might have. And these would take place after chapters, so people could access that easily. And I think this really helped us hold each other accountable as sisters and make sure that we were calling people in instead of calling people out. Another thing that we had this semester that we haven't really taken risks with in years past is having high risk events with multiple chapters. So we definitely had to make some swift judgment calls when we planned these high risk events and maybe didn't always have the tools to make sure that sisters were safe. We were able to get sisters either help or get them home in safe ways and felt more empowered to do so as the year went on. So we were really happy that we met that goal and had nobody go home at our formal event because everybody was being super safe. We also just in general wanted to take the stigma away from member accountability and have the entire chapter be a part of setting those member accountability expectations in general, not just about holding them accountable for holding the high standard of Pi Phi, but holding them accountable to um, the values that they set for themselves and the purpose of why they participate in sorority events. So we had an Every Act of Yours critical conversation, which talked about how every act of yours reflects on towards credit or discredit on Pi Phi. So talking about how we interact with one another and how that's perceived by everybody is just something that we looped into the harm reduction plan. And having this critical conversation was really helpful to start new conversations with our members. We also had a sense of improved chapter responsibility. We had a lot of members volunteer to be on risk and take that job very seriously. And we also are working towards having more communication with the risk team and just overall trying to improve that training event after event to ensure that everybody's safe and having a good time and the risk team feels confident in what they're doing. But I would say that we have made so much progress from the beginning of the year until now in this area, and I'm super proud of the team. The next area I'll talk about is community service and philanthropy, one of my favorites. As the former vice president of community relations and chapter president, I've loved watching us grow in this endeavor, giving back to the community and just being able to engage in some stuff that we haven't since before COVID. So we have implemented our rule to have 10 hours of community service submitted per member, and we're making sure we adhere to that standard by providing plenty of opportunities for community service, such as freshman move-in and fall and spring cleanup, CS Unity, and as well as providing our opportunity to champions our readers. Pi Beta Phi's uh, philanthropic cause is children's literacy, and we are really lucky to have a program in place called Champions Our Readers, where we not only donate money to children's literacy, but we also donate our time to volunteer for it. So we ask that the members complete those 10 hours of community service, and we offer this great opportunity for people to read in schools. This calendar year, we've had students at three different elementary schools participating in CAR, Champions Our Readers. And we were super excited to see the impact they had on classrooms and how teachers were so thankful for their help. It really meant a lot to the entire Fort Collins community, and we were glad we could give back in this really unique way that also ties to our philanthropic cause. We also fundraised a lot of money for our philanthropy, which is Read, Lead, Achieve. And so for this cause, we had two events. We had one in the spring, which was kind of a DJ sort of thing, music festival, and we had a lot of community members come. And then we had our signature event, which was Pie Burger Fry, which was a volleyball tournament. And we had 30 participating teams across 4 volleyball courts in our backyard. And it was so much fun to see the community come together to support our cause. We also really wanted to make sure that we were upholding our standard for philanthropic service to others by supporting other community philanthropy events. So we did ask that our members attend 2 philanthropies and donate their time, donate their money to make sure that they're supporting that value of ours. And it was also really cool to have members come back and share about how they participated in other events, what they learned about in the FSL community, and about other people's philanthropies as well. We did also start something new. We set aside some money in our budget to make sure that we could support people financially if they needed money to attend these philanthropy events because we wanted to make this as equitable as possible. Another area where we really grew was in our membership development. We made sure that we had tons of programming this year. Our Vice President of Member Experience, Hannah Unton, planned a sisterhood about once per month and had targeted events towards different people who had different interests. So we did line dancing, we made some arts and crafts, we played video games, just ways to take stress off of members and also allow them the opportunity to choose their own levels of involvement. We also wanted to make sure that we included member recognition and satisfaction. We got a lot of feedback in a feedback box that we set up, saying that they would really like to have members who were not on leadership recognized for everything they do. So we decided to implement sugar shoutouts and a supportive sister award that got passed around the chapter to make sure that we were always appreciating our members for what they were doing outside of the chapter during chapter meeting times. We also implemented a leading with values exercise, which was making sure that members are really taking note of why being a member in PiFi is important to them and how PiFi can actually support them in what they're trying to do. We also saw an increase in our respect for ritual. Everybody was coming to the required events that are a part of our ritual and also respecting the processes that are in place up until initiation. So we were really thankful that people were taking the time to and care to make the events what they were. We also had a lot of leadership and lifelong commitment in opportunities in PiFi. We had members engage in a leadership workshop, and we also provided more programming for seniors, which was something that the seniors in years past have expressed needed to happen. So it was really awesome to see seniors engage in planning. I am a senior myself and really liked the programming that was set up by our Director of Lifelong Membership, Abby Clarkin. We also had a lot of people, a lot of stakeholders engaging in the new member big and little process. We had this new program rolled out called Beta Buddies, and that was when seniors and juniors who were not taking littles for the semester got paired up with a new member and kind of took them under the wing, showed them the ropes until they got that big or mentor in their life. And it was really cool to have these members uh, back in the chapter and being able to use their wisdom for what they've learned in the past and also just guide the new members through the process because sometimes it can be a little daunting and it can be hard to get involved. So having them to give advice and be role models for them was something that really helped both groups of people, those not taking littles and those becoming littles, stay involved and be able to know what was going on. We also had great improvements in membership intake, recruitment, and new member education. We had a great, smooth recruitment. We reached chapter total, and our vice president of recruitment did a great job at making sure our chapter was prepared and ready to take on recruitment, especially in a brand new classroom. Something that I was really proud of Annika, our vice president of recruitment, for doing was being up to the challenge of doing something new that nobody had ever done before. And our chapter actually recruited in CSU's circular classroom, and it actually turned out really great. And she had so many great ideas. I'm really proud of her ability to take charge of this process and also for our members as a whole for recruiting a great class. We recruited 61 members and then took two more. So we had 63 in the newest pledge member class. And we also had a really successful bid day thanks to our new member educator. The theme was kind of bathtub, so fresh and so clean, new members. And we really had a great time getting to know them through this process and then also through the new member program. The new members and now their newly initiated members had great mentors, like I was saying, those seniors and juniors who weren't taking new members. We had different officers come and speak in their meetings each week so that they could get to know the chapter leadership team and kind of how getting involved works. We also had them learn about Pi 5 values, and we also moved our new member meetings from in our basement to the living room setting to make it more cozy and had some time for members to bond that we hadn't previously. So it was a really great opportunity to see members more comfortable with the new member process because sometimes it can be so daunting and quite frankly hard to pay attention to for a long period of time. We did have a shortened new member period, which was a little challenging, but I was really proud of Joey, our new member educator, for rolling with the punches and being able to fit all of our curriculum into a short amount of time, getting our members initiated before we left for Thanksgiving break. We also showed excellence in our chapter management. We had a lovely chapter leadership team of 26 officers, and also we had committees, people like everybody volunteering, and it really helped the chapters flow this semester. We had just overall an increase in involvement in our bylaws and bylaws addendum. We added chair positions, and that was approved by our headquarters. So those chair positions helped us take on things like homecoming and FS Fest that were previously the jobs of a vice president. And that really took the stress off of our chapter leadership team members who were trying to navigate the tasks that they already have. And it also gave members the opportunity to try a leadership position, maybe before committing to a director or vice president role. And I was really proud of all the people who stepped up and stepped into these roles because we couldn't do what we do without committees and chairs. We also had just rolled out our House app, which is a chapter management app our former president Abby Gerber found when she was serving as the vice president of operations the year before. So we now are on our second year of using the Our House app, and we are still exploring different ways how to use Our House. But something I'm really proud of us being able to do is incorporate like and use the app to the full its fullest potential, using like it to track points and excuses and to get chapter input for certain things and just to communicate in general. So, keeping track of events and being able to use it for attendance and stuff like that was something super helpful and something that our chapter finds meaning in as we navigate managing our chapter of 198. We also had a change. So our international organization now uses or Betabase instead of e-reports to kind of take into account numbers, documents, and other organizational things. So our vice president of operations, Ali, did a great job navigating this change and being able to kind of make the changes she needed to based on chapter attendance, total, that sort of thing in Betabase. And I'm really excited for the next leadership team to explore this further. We did see a dip in our chapter's attendance, but what we tried to do is make sure that we are still engaging those members who didn't always come to chapter. Something that I did as chapter president is record our meeting minutes in the Canva format, like I'm doing right now, so that people could listen and watch a video of the chapter meeting minutes being presented by me on our chapter slideshow, so that they could really understand what was going on in chapter, stay involved, have some more buy-in and face-to-face time. Even though they were not physically at chapter, they could still hear my voice and be able to maybe put on the chapter minutes in the background, even though they weren't at chapter. So that was something that we were really happy to roll out, and also just was a little more inclusive of people who were taking time out of their day to read the chapter minutes. We also had a variety of events put on by officers. So, organizing all of the events that a lot of officers were willing to try and include, such as like a finance workshop and a leadership workshop that we had never had before, was something that the chapter leadership team worked to manage. And I was really proud that we fit it all in. The last area of elevation I'd like to report on is our improvements in external relations. We had a great director of PR and marketing, Lily, who worked really hard to successfully promote Panhellenic recruitment officers and engaged in Panhellenic or FSL programming board programming to engage a variety of community members. So she had a content calendar where she planned a lot of her programming and what type of posts she wanted to make sure that we're promoting our values, we're promoting the why for Pi Phi, and also connecting to larger communities such as the fraternity and sorority life community. Our vice president of community relations, Jordan, also put on Moms and Mentors Day and a family weekend. She really took these events and made them signature for our chapter, made them her own, and made a lot of people very happy. one of her main missions in becoming the vice president of community relations was to make sure that families and the people who may support the members were really appreciated. And so the time and effort and thought she put into these events really made an impact on our chapter and became some of their favorite events for the entire year. The chapter or the community relation efforts at large were great as the chapter leadership team members and the chapter at large made big strides in making relationships with people outside of Pi Phi. Specifically in the Pan-Hellenic community, we had a lot of members go to our kindness summit and make friends there, and then also in fraternity and sorority life at large, at CSU at large, and in the Fort Collins community, such as the Poudre School District, where we do the Champions Our Readers programming. We're really proud of all the work that we've done as the Colorado Gamma chapter of Pi Beta Phi this calendar year, and we have reached most of our goals that we set for ourselves moving through this elevation process. We really hope that you consider us for an award for the Fraternity and Sorority Life Awards this next year, and we appreciate all you do for us. Thank you so much.